right.
The fan club is gone,
Is
buddy.
is
Yeah, once
I
Derek
don't
came
know,
in.
man. So we talk about like KJ, KJ and Lonnie kind of wanting them to seize those opportunities when they're on the court. But I mean, that's kind of been like Vassell's whole name to his
Yeah,
game so far has just been he's a victim of his circumstance in the sense that he was pretty low on the depth chart and we're pretty crowded, but then we got injuries and he was needed
and he
to
stepped up,
to
right?
to come in, and that's a guy, man, who yeah, he's been doing all the little things, and he's been one of the real bright spots for me. You know what I mean? So
Right.
we could just give him a little bit of props real quick. We don't have to spend too much time talking about him, mainly because I think most of us see a lot of positives. I don't know if we've seen too many negatives, just because he's not out there for that long.
No,
Hmm.
no, he's not.
And
And when he does get in there, he hoops, man. He's so smart, right? You see, like it sucks to talk about this guy, but like, right, Kawhi was just smart. Like defensively, he is so smart, and I feel like Devin's the same way. He's always in. Sometimes he's a rookie, right, and he's learning. So sometimes he gets himself in bad positions, but like that, it's only gonna to help him because he's really smart. I feel like every time he plays, he's always in the right spot. He's always getting tipped balls. He's always like right there, you know.
Yeah.
So like yeah, as we go forward, like I'm high on that guy too, you know. And
Mhm.
we talked about it at the beginning of the year, you know. I really didn't know too much about him, and watching him play this first quarter of the season, man, he stood out for me a lot. Like he's gonna be a great player for us to have, and it sucks that the only reason I'm not gonna say the only reason, but like Derek's out, so he's getting his opportunities, but we're not gonna have like I don't know if we're gonna have DeMar, and that's he's somebody like that's gonna be real beneficial to us moving forward as far like at the guard. So I feel like we could play him at the 2, 3.
1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, hopefully I think he could guard 1, 2, or 3 easily.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
And I'm hoping that maybe later on once he's real thin right now. Once he gets his NBA body, once he gets a little bit bulkier, like maybe you could throw him out there at the fours too, and he can guard 1 through 4. And that's going to help us a lot to have
Yeah.
somebody like that can go out there and guard whoever, switch on whatever. That's going to be great.
Yeah, I would say if he gets a little bit bigger, there's probably going to be a good 65% of the league that he can guard 1 through 4, and
Yeah, for
then
sure.
and then the rest where he could go 1 through 3. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been super fun seeing, and like kind of like what you're saying about he obviously has some rookie lessons that he's learning, but when from a teacher's standpoint, like when you know that you can trust a guy like that, then mistakes don't mean the same. You know what I mean? When you know that you have a guy who's going to learn from his mistakes, or
Yeah,
that somebody who's going to turn a negative into a positive later on, then you can be a lot more okay with certain mistakes that when they happen on the court, because you have that trust, you're building that trust, and he's building a lot of that trust right now in his limited times. Man, I've loved the past 2 games now. I think one time each game he's had either a foul or a jump ball called against him where he just ends up with the ball in his hand and he's looking at the ref like, hey man, I took it, it's my
yeah.
ball. So I've been enjoying that kind of stuff because if we can have a defensive dog like that, or I don't want to call him a dog because he's not like KJ, he's not like I'm gonna run through you. He is a little bit more finesse, a little bit more smooth.
Bro, he's a
He's got that.
fox, dog. He's a fox. He's
Yeah,
smooth with it.
yeah, yeah,
He's
I like that.
That's what he is.
I do like that. Yeah. And it's funny because this is like one of the first times that, Jake was saying earlier, like, oh man, Chris really is always using the terms like, yeah, when I was your age or
Back in
whatever.
my day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But this is like one of the first guys, man. When I watch him, he looks and he feels like a young kid to me. Like when I look at him, but man, I just every time I see him, I'm like, dang, I call him Rook. Like when I'm watching the game, I'm like, go get you that steal, Rook. That's your shot, Rook. Like every time he gets the ball, I'm like, he never goes away from an opportunity. Like if he's got a good shot, he'll take it. I'm like, get you that shot. If you miss it, go ahead, get you it. So like that
We talked about. I'm
he's
sorry.
doing what it's okay, but I'm just saying like he's doing what I want. He's doing what I want our young guys to do. Just take the opportunity. If you miss it, you
Mhm.
miss it.
He's another one like Lonnie. I talked about him being more aggressive. Sometimes Devin passes up, and I feel like he has a nice looking jumper too.
Hmm.
Like I was watching right before, but right when we drafted him, I think Jake shared a video. You were showing him knock down the threes. Remember, he was shooting threes, and you're like, hey, this guy can shoot, and he's proven it. I feel like he knocks him down, and sometimes he's a little bit more passive too. And maybe, he's a rook, so maybe he feels like
he's lowest on the totem pole, so
maybe he feels like, oh, this is not my shot to take. Well, I wish he would just let him fly, because he's proven that he can knock him down, and he's been another bright spot. Like you talking about KJ being the biggest bright spot, that he's right there. He's shining.
And we've had many moments this year where we are struggling to shoot the ball. So it's like, hey man, just get it. Try to see if you can get us out. Yeah, might as well.
For sure. I think one of the biggest things for all three of us is that, like, yeah, we know he's a rookie, so it's like when he does make those mistakes, when DJ makes a mistake, when Kelda makes a mistake, when Derek, like our guys that have played 2-3 years, you're like, all right, guys, you've gone through a year. I need y'all to kind of step it up. You can't be making those mistakes. Devin's a rookie, and if he makes those mistakes, you can't really get mad, because he's learning. Like y'all said, he's learning. So
yeah,
it's like I that really makes me happy to see that, like, the fact that he isn't making quite the as many mistakes as, like, maybe we'd see DJ make or Derek make, even like Lonnie in like those first like their first years, whenever we'd give them those couple minutes and they'd come out of the G League, right? Like I think that's one thing that I really love seeing, is that, like, out of all of the guys, and obviously he's a lottery pick, all of our other guys were 29, 30, right?
Right.
But, like, he looked like the most NBA ready out of the draft, and I'm I love seeing that. I love seeing that he didn't he doesn't look like he's going to be a big project for us. Like, literally after this year, then he has his first full year. He didn't have to play in the G League. He just played with us. And then he gets a full off season with us. Bam, next season he's getting his rotational minutes in, and he starts to show up even more.
Right. Draft night, they were saying he was a steal for us, huh? They were saying that they're surprised he dropped to us.
I think so. I'm honestly, the draft was a long time ago. I honestly
I remember.
I can't remember too much, but I remember whenever we drafted him, I was like, oh, this is who we drafted? Like, what? Why?
Yeah.
And then, like, a couple days later, I finally cooled down, and I'm like, you know what? This guy looks nice. Like, I cannot wait to see us.
Yeah, I from what I remember, like, most people said it's a good pickup. I mean, and he fit what we needed. We needed a 3 and D, or a wing. We needed a wing. So, but yeah,
That's
man, he's
right. The best the 3 and D defender at that time,
Yeah, and since then, like, a lot of the people that are like in Spurs, in like the Spurs Twitter kind of sphere, their projections, like they, a lot of people held him pretty high too on their boards.
Yeah.
So I mean, we love what we're seeing from Devin Vassell for sure. That's and it's crazy to think too, like, we had talked, Jake Jake had put him in the starting lineup early on, like, on our very first episode. And I don't think he would probably, in my opinion, would probably end up looking a little bit like Lonnie on the starting lineup, where he would just kind of look a little passive sometimes. But you would see him do, I think defensively, you would see him do some really good things.
And that's obviously, now that we've gotten a couple games into it, we can see, like, honestly, for me, yeah, if he was starting it still, like, you're right, he would probably be like passive like Lonnie was. And that, yeah, obviously that means that he's just not going to take as many threes as he would how he is right now. But I still feel like that defense that he brings, and then just the fact that, like, he doesn't need the ball in his hands all the time, it helps,
Yeah.
It helps. It doesn't make it seem like we have three guys that need the ball in their hands for 24 seconds all on the court at the same time,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly. That's probably what you were thinking about when you wanted to have him out there at the beginning. All right. So we've kind of talked about a lot of our young guys. Man, it's a shame that we haven't been able to talk about Derek White a whole bunch so